Hi, make sure to stick around until the end of the video for part 1 of a 4-part series sponsored by Squarespace. Start your free Squarespace trial today at squarespace.com/Browntable and use code Browntable to get 10% off your first purchase. This is great. And this... No. Marvel Netflix's Daredevil was the show that started off the Netflix-verse. It was pretty tight, it has great cinematography and everything, and we all loved it. Then came Jessica Jones, which is just as good as Daredevil Season 1, with incredible writing and cinematography, in my opinion. And then came Luke Cage.
Yo, I'm Luke Cage.
And Iron Fist.
You guys seriously need to back off.
And we realized that maybe, just maybe, we were indulging ourselves in this gritty superhero world a little too much. It's almost like viewers had grown so accustomed to quality like Daredevil Season 1 and Jessica Jones Season 1 that when Luke Cage and Iron Fist rolled along, they realized that these two seasons are actually incredibly well-made, competent seasons which have incredible direction and creative flair, and these two have good ideas going for them, but their execution is awful. Recently, Netflix has canceled 2 Marvel shows, Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Maybe because they want them gone, because they were doing poorly, because they were, or maybe because they want to do Heroes for Hire. All we know is that the viewership went way down for both of these seasons, so Marvel Netflix has canceled 2 shows, and these 2 shows are the ones with the most negative reception surrounding them, as well as less viewers. Now, I'm 100% sure that the lowered viewership is because of the negative reception, and the negative reception is because these shows are just not that great. This leads me to talk about what Marvel Netflix has been doing wrong, and why Daredevil is pretty much the only show that's been held on a pedestal. And rightfully so, because this shit is so sexy. Look at that. Oh god. Remind me to binge the entire series again? See, Daredevil is a very simple story, actually. It's the hero versus the villain. It's the typical conflict that we see in similar superhero media. And it works, because it's the constant struggle of one getting the upper hand and the other getting the upper hand the next time, and eventually they face off. Typical conflict. What revolves around the conflict and the reason for the conflict is what makes the story so interesting. Why Daredevil works is because we have incredibly powerful characters in the sense that they are interesting and active. From the beginning of the story to the end, almost all of the characters in the show change or progress the story. The characters change because of their values and interests, and characters clash with others because of those said values and interests, and that's what creates the plot. From there we get to decide how to present the plot, and we get incredible set pieces and scenes of character development that are near perfect. This can also be said for Jessica Jones. Only thing is that Jessica Jones relies more on characters clashing with other characters verbally, while Daredevil is more of a physical show. I think that's also what makes Jessica Jones Season 1 so great and different from Daredevil Season 1. They both have similar concepts, but they're executed in different ways. One is more of a physical beatdown, and the other more of a psychological beatdown. And now we have Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Luke Cage starts off relatively alright, the usual hero versus antagonist, or maybe antagonists. But Cottonmouth is our primary antagonist. We set up these characters' motivations and understand who they are. Just like Daredevil, there's a bit of man versus world, and then, oh shit, wait. Oh, wait, he's dead. Wait, there's this guy? Who's he? Oh, his motivations are revealed around the end of the season. Huh. That's a terrible idea. So Luke Cage failed by, I guess, subverting expectations in a terrible way. They replaced a dynamic villain with a one-note villain, and this new villain, Diamondback, is just not menacing at all. Look at this guy. Thankfully, Luke Cage Season 2 is Bushmaster. See, that's a guy I can be scared of. Iron Fist also has this problem, what I'm calling multiple villain syndrome. This happened in Spider-Man 3, Batman and Robin, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Iron Fist has like 4 friggin' villains, and I am not making this up. There's 4. And they are prominent. It's not like Daredevil where there's secondary antagonists like Nobu and the Russians. Madame Gao is also rather secondary, and the main antagonist is obviously Wilson Fisk. And Iron Fist, the show beats you in the head with the hand, led by Madame Gao, but there's also Bakuto, who has way too much screen time and he's incredibly boring.
Fuel the jet.
We also have Davos, and finally we have Harold Meacham. Now that's absolutely bonkers. Daredevil Season 2 has this happen as well, but thankfully it's handled so well that it only comes off as a bit frustrating but never really takes you out of the story. And I'm talking about the Punisher and the Hand here. Punisher is pretty much reserved for the first half of the season, and the hand is more of the second half. But here's where things get really crazy, okay? Because the multiple villain syndrome is only really a problem with Luke Cage and Iron Fist's first seasons, and then also kind of the Defenders. The absolute biggest problem that Marvel Netflix has to overcome is filler.
He punched me.
You punched
He
him.
likes having me around. He says I protect him.
You were dodging bombs in Damascus.
God damn it! I was worried.
What if everyone in the family's dead? I don't know, man. I just cut the grass.
These shows are 13 episodes long, and so little can happen in each episode, it's absolutely insane. There's a difference between regular cable TV shows and Netflix shows, because regular TV shows have to hook you instantly. Sometimes there's some sort of exposition to have the audience remember what happened last week, and they run approximately 40 minutes. Netflix shows run an hour each episode. Not that this is necessary in a show also, but there's no interesting cliffhangers leading into commercial breaks, so there's a lack of feeling of anticipation which regular TV shows build sometimes. Netflix is bingeable. That's the thing. Shows are made to be binged, and it's as if they expect you to watch the next one because it's right there for you to watch. Marvel Netflix suffers with this, and somehow it's only gotten worse. Luke Cage Season 2 could have easily been 9 episodes with the content that it showcased in that season. It's almost as if the creators are forced to come up with more content to meet a 13 episode limit. That's why Daredevil Season 1, and Season 3 honestly, is peak Marvel Netflix, because you feel that with each episode you advance further into the rabbit hole that is the plot. In Daredevil Season 1, the first episode introduces you to Daredevil and the people in his life. The second has him in conflict with the Russians, he saves a little boy. The third has him find out that Wilson Fisk is behind everything thanks to Healy, an assassin, and in the fourth episode we're introduced to Wilson Fisk a lot more and he kills one of the Russians, and in the fifth episode ends with Vladimir and Daredevil surrounded by police. Do you remember those episodes? They were incredible. That's because even though a lot of Daredevil Season 1 is talking and characters explaining their motivations to others and even to themselves, all of it leads to a payoff at the end of the episode, not at the end of the season, most of the time. Why other Netflix shows like Jessica Jones Season 2, probably the worst second season of all the shows, fail is because they go on, but nothing actually that pertinent or meaningful happens at the end of each episode. It makes you wait and wait for something to happen, and when something does happen, it feels lifeless and dull because you start to feel like the wait wasn't worth it. What helps propel a slow-moving plot is side characters, and Daredevil and Jessica Jones' first season have incredible side characters. They all do something. Even in Season 3 of Daredevil, without spoilers at all, we're introduced to Foggy Nelson's family, and it feels very fillery, but they actually serve a purpose in the story, and they are necessary. Characters like Karen and Foggy all have stories which tie back to the main plot, and they grow as people along with this plot, and it's beautiful to watch. Let me give you an example of a bad side plot. Misty Knight in Luke Cage Season 2. See, in Season 1, she's a cliché tough cop. Then she loses an arm in the Defenders, and now she has to recover. She spends about half the second season of Luke Cage all depressed and melancholic. This could genuinely go somewhere. She could reevaluate her entire life and end up a changed woman. But no, she goes back to being the cliché tough cop who just so happens to have a robot hand and now can make people feel bad because she's disabled.
Remember, these dudes have hammer weapons.
Wait, are you about to tell me to wait in the car?
How to say all that?
What, you think I can't with this arm?
One thing I can appreciate from Iron Fist Season 2 is that they further progressed every single character, and they end up all completely different from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. They made Joy Meacham a little more interesting, and Ward Meacham, who is the only interesting character in Iron Fist Season 1 other than Colleen, has a side plot as well, which kinda goes nowhere a little bit. Also, the season is only 10 episodes, thank God. Thing is, because of a mediocre first season, not many people are gonna keep watching Iron Fist, and worse, remember when Danny Rand at the end of The Defenders seemed like he was going to finally accept becoming the Iron Fist?
Matt said something before he told us to leave. He said, protect my city.
Fuck that, he gives his power to Colleen because in the end he realizes that the Iron Fist power is something he uses because he likes hurting people.
Deep down, all I really wanted was to use the fist. When I couldn't find an excuse to use it on the streets, I'd come here. I'd stay for hours and hours. I know who I become when it's a part of me.
What makes it worse is that Danny pretty much disgraces Matt Murdock's legacy, who at this point in the story is dead. Because he isn't protecting New York because he wants to honor Matt and uphold his legacy and help people, he does it to get off by beating up criminals. This makes me hate Danny Rand so much. I still don't know why the writers insist on making Danny such a douche, I really don't. Now finally, the thing is, seasons should exist to tell a story that has a purpose. It has meaning. One of the reasons stories exist is to tell a message, and a story has to feel important. There has to be a reason behind it, and if there isn't, then why tell that story? That's why I personally feel Jessica Jones Season 2 fell flat. What even was the story it was trying to tell? That's why Iron Fist failed as well. It was more focused on preparing everyone for the Defenders that they forgot to make everyone care about the season. And Iron Fist Season 2, I legitimately think the moral of the story is to just give up and give your job to someone else. That's awful. Daredevil, on the other hand, knows how to tell a cohesive story, one that might drag sometimes, but most of the time, it feels pertinent. The story is all about Matt Murdock and his journey to become a better man and to understand himself and to accept the people in his life. The story is there. The series knows its story, and it knows its characters. And Daredevil Season 3 is also yet another stellar season for Netflix's best Marvel show. Hey everybody, hope you enjoyed the video, and now we get to the fun stuff. Now if you didn't watch my video on Catwoman, please unsubscribe from my channel. It's the greatest superhero film of all time. And what better way to commemorate this film than to create an entire website for her? And of course, what better way to develop a website than with Squarespace? There is no better way. Now, if you're a fellow creator like me, it doesn't have to be video essays, it can be art, it can be music. If you want to create a website for your content, Squarespace is the way to go. You see, with Squarespace, you can create beautiful, complex websites just with the click of a button. Some of the world's biggest companies and stars like Keanu Reeves, and even your favorite YouTubers, use Squarespace to create beautiful websites for viewers to enjoy. And Squarespace is sponsoring this video so you can create a website of your liking. Now you can start your free Squarespace trial today at squarespace.com/browntable and use the code BROWNTABLE to get 10% off your first purchase. Link in the description below. So, let's go make a website. So Squarespace already gives me a bunch of templates for me to use to create my website. It's all in one platform, there's no plugins, no updates, no patches, super freaking easy, and Catwoman is life.
It all started on the day that I died. If there had been an obituary, it would have described the unremarkable life of an unremarkable woman.
So this is looking pretty cool, but in the future I might want to add a video in the website. So let's go and check out the Help Center. The Help Center actually includes a bunch of questions that have already been answered before, all in one place. There's also a live chat and an email support 24/7. And look at that, I'm gonna have no problems linking this YouTube video. And of course we need a whole page dedicated to Pitoff. So that's what I have so far, and honestly, I don't even care about YouTube. All I want to do is maintain this site for the rest of my life. Catwoman, thank you for existing. And of course, thank you Squarespace for sponsoring this video. There's going to be a lot more content coming into this website soon, and Squarespace makes it so easy to put in. That kind of sounded wrong, but I'm totally okay with it. And remember, start your free trial at squarespace.com/browntable and use code BROWNTABLE to get 10% off your first purchase.